Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today we've got a money-saving tip for you, so stay tuned. Alright everybody, so to do this, we're going to need a couple things. We're going to need Aquatic Plus outdoor and indoor plant fertilizer, and this is something you can pick up at just about any hardware store, big box store. And then we're going to need some gel capsules. I'm sorry that the label is kind of old, but they are 00 empty gelatin capsules. I think I got these off of eBay. They weren't very much. This is a bag of 1,000. So we need these in order to make our root tabs. And all we do is these gel tabs, they come apart. So now we've got the two parts right here. And the easiest thing to do is to open up this bag, and then you take the smaller part, just dip it in the bag, and you get the fertilizer in the gel cap, put the larger part over it, bam, done. This takes all of just a few seconds, and so you can just be sitting around watching YouTube videos or looking at your fish, and you can make these things. You can make these things. It doesn't take a long time to do, and then you just put a dozen or 20 or 30 in some place nice and cool and hopefully free of humidity, or at least a lot of humidity, and these will last a very long time. So I usually make up 30 or 40 of these, and I can leave them in a sealed Tupperware in a cool, dry place, and they've lasted for months just like that. Alright, so now if we are ready to add the root tabs to the substrate, let me go ahead and just show you what we do. And again, we've never really had any issues doing it this way. The one thing I will say with these root tabs is you do need to be careful. Unlike some of the other root tabs that are on the market, these things, as you'll see in a moment, they will float when you first put them in. So if I do this, they want to float right back up. So you really have to make sure that when you place them in the substrate, like I'm doing here, that they get all the way down there. So I push that in there, cover it with sand, because we don't want any of the pieces of the Aquatic Plus coming out of that sand, because the one downside to doing this is if those things start to come up to the surface, you may get an ammonia spike, and let's face it, saving a few cents just to, for root tabs and then watch yourself get an ammonia spike is not ideal. So that's all we do, and it's been working out great. We haven't had any issues with any ammonia or anything, although I know some people have. All right, everyone, so there you have it. Just a couple things though. So you saw how we make them, you saw how we put them in the tank. A couple things you're going to want to watch out for. Thing number one is if the gel tabs were to come out of the substrate and into the water, that would be a bad thing, because you'd have that Aquatic Plus in the water. That can create an ammonia spike. So just make sure when you push those tabs into the sand or the gravel that those things are really in there and they're deep enough so that they're not going to start popping out. If you start to see little white beads on the surface of your substrate, maybe some of that Aquatic Plus has been coming back up, push it back into the sand or just remove it from the tank. We haven't had too many issues. The only time we'll ever have an issue is maybe if we're using gravel and we've put some of those in and we accidentally gravel vac and get too close to where the plant roots are, and then maybe sometimes we'll suck a little bit of that stuff up onto the surface. But for the most part, we've been using it throughout our fish room. We've got over 30 tanks up and running right now. About half of them have some type of rooted plant in the tank, and we have not had any issues. No ammonia spikes, nothing like that. The reason we do it is the root tabs can get expensive. For a relatively small amount of root tabs, you might spend $20 or $30. With what we just did, the Aquatic Plus on Amazon is somewhere around $23, $24, and then the gel capsules are another $12. So for around $35, we've got enough fertilizer and gel caps to last us many years. So we will typically use these gel capsules. We'll put in a couple around the rooted plants, not right up around the stem, but usually a couple inches out, and we will add those things, every, let's say 4 to 6 months, so about 3 times a year, and we really see our plants respond. As soon as we put those in for the root feeders, they really like that. So just thought it would be helpful. It might work out. Again, just be careful when you're putting those things in that they stay in the substrate so you don't wind up with any issues. So if you like this, thumbs up. subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.